So I'm going to talk about the Fantastic Four cartoon show's 2-episode Silver Surfer and the Coming of Galactus. This cartoon show came out in 1994, at least started airing in 1994. I believe this aired in 1994. This was sort of one of the bigger episodes of this show, and I'm talking about this for two reasons. One, the movie is about Galactus, so it seemed appropriate. And two, this was kind of the episodes that got me into the show, and I was sort of into the show for a little bit. Fantastic Four, this aired during the Marvel Action Hour. This was with Iron Man, another 90s cartoon, and then Fantastic Four. My dad and I would tape any Marvel cartoon show at the time because we'd rewatch them a lot. So I actually did watch this Fantastic Four show a lot of times when I was a kid. But the thing is, I didn't really like the Iron Man cartoon show. There was a time where like Iron Man wasn't really cool at all. And so when I'd have to watch this tape, I would watch a Fantastic Four and then like have to fast forward through Iron Man. I don't think we watched much of the Iron Man one. We just like had a lot of tapes of it. But yeah, it was part of the Marvel Action Hour, which was the syndicated hour they aired like pretty early. I think it was like Saturday or Sunday, as I recall. But we had all of them. But this was sort of the big adaptation because it's about the 3 episodes of Fantastic Four, which I don't need to look this up there. Fantastic Four issues 48, 49, and 50, where Silver Surfer shows up and then Galactus comes. And it's a pretty major big deal in comics and literature and like how the cosmic stuff came into the Marvel Universe. Like basically without these 3 issues and what Jack Kirby did, we wouldn't have the Guardians of the Galaxy. We wouldn't have so much about that. But I want to talk about their adaptation of the Galactus stuff because it's fairly accurate except for like a major thing that is kind of laughable how they did that. However, so basically Silver Surfer shows up, is going around the world. The Watcher covers the world in fire through like holograms or whatever. So Galactus won't see it or be like, oh, that world sucks. It's all covered in fire. So I was very hyped for this because at the time as a kid, I knew that those comics very well. They're always really cool comics and stuff like that. This is fairly like Silver Surfer comes down after the fire stuff. The thing hits him. He falls down. He goes into Alicia's studio. She explains art to Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer's like, oh, cool. Art's neat. Maybe we should go and like not destroy Earth. And he has this whole arc. It was Jack Kirby's idea. This is mainly a Jack Kirby creation. Anything you like in Fantastic Four is Jack Kirby, pretty much. And it basically follows the thing, like the Fantastic Four is trying to convince Galactus not to do it. They're trying to fight Galactus, all this stuff. It doesn't work out. Now, there's 2 major differences that are embarrassing. One is like Fantastic Four's neighbor, or who runs the apartment building or something, is trying to get them evicted during the Galactus thing. That's not part of the comic. And it's like kind of really dumb. They're really into that. But then the other thing that you wouldn't notice unless you knew the comic. So in the original comic, the Watcher sends Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, out in space to get the ultimate nullifier, which is this thing that could destroy all of existence. Which destroys all of existence. Galactus would then not have Planeseed because everything would be destroyed and stuff. And in the comic, this is literally, I want to preface, I am not joking. This is really in the comic. He's basically like, Johnny Storm's like, wow, space is so amazing. This is literally too much for my brain. The wonders I am seeing with my eyes. All these amazing planets. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. You see all this cool Jack Kirby art. It's amazing. It's like this whole like his world, his worldview is being destroyed because he's seeing all this amazing cosmic stuff. Again, not a joke. This is in the comic. So in the cartoon, because animating space is hard, I guess, the Watcher's like, hey, Reed, I think Galactus just like has the ultimate nullifier in his ship behind a box or something. So could you just like get it and then threaten him with it? And that's what they do, which is not as cool as the comic. In fact, Johnny does not have as cool of a role as the comic. It's like such a downgrade. I remember being fairly accurate, and I looked up summaries and actually read the comic. I was like, that is like, why did you cut that? Like, that's like a really cool part of the story, and you just like, yeah, fuck it. Like, just, yeah, That would take a while to animate. I don't know. So they like the eviction thing is embarrassing, but it's extra embarrassing where they're like, "Where's the ultimate nullifier?" Oh, it's like in his house, just like behind some shit. Don't worry. Then you can scare him, and it doesn't. They make it try to look cooler, which is also dumb. I actually liked this cartoon a little more animation wise, as at the time than the X-Men show, which kind of wasn't designed well. Fantastic Four, it was redesigned for animation. I thought they did a good job with that. I remember thought things a little more comic accurate than the other versions of the Fantastic Four. Maybe when they make more Fantastic Four movies, I will review those other shows or other big episodes from it. I think there's certain good things they did with it and they got it to work for it. But the eviction, like they kind of try to cartoony this up, and it's like a pretty important comic story, and I wish they'd just done the comic story. I think the awkward animation of the X-Men show, they still were able to like get things to work and like have story reasons for why they didn't do stuff. And this, like, their story reasons are like, oh, they might get evicted from their house while they're trying to save the Earth, is like really stupid. And the fact that they cut that Johnny plotline, which is a really interesting, cool stuff with neat Jack Kirby art, I think was a bad idea. The art of like how Galactus ate the planets and like all the Earth and stuff pops off the planet, that was actually kind of interesting. They did have some good animation workarounds, and everything with Galactus I actually sort of liked, and like their reasoning behind doing stuff, those sort of worked, but like cutting that was dumb. The Silver Surfer thing I think still worked. You really need to have that be part of the storyline, and then he gets just stuck on Earth and stuff like that. This did actually make me want to watch more of these. I have actually rewatched the show, certain episodes, since I've had Disney Plus. I've actually not gotten that far. What's also interesting in the show, and I guess it's similar to the movie, is they do Galactus before Doctor Doom, which is a weird. I was like, why would... Okay. They do Doctor Doom actually pretty late, which I was surprised by, because he's like sort of the Fantastic Four villain. They sort of do the origin one first, and Dick Clark is in it, which is, again, a similar plot as like at least the trailer where they have them coming out for a talk show. In this one, they have him with Dick Clark and stuff. I do think the show has a certain amount of charm. It was never that big because it was syndicated. And if you're going to be a syndicated show, at that time, you come on either really early or on Sunday animated cartoons, which were not super popular. I know I have talked about my nostalgia for it. I have a fondness for the show. It actually inspired me to I had a whole Fantastic Four phase in like the second part of 6th grade, and I was reading a ton of whatever my dad had at the time. And I think Fantastic Four is a really imaginative, interesting property. Honestly, if you're like, should I watch the show or read those comics? Read the comics. Like, this is not as good as that. Like, that's really historic and some of the best Kirby stuff I've ever that's ever been done. And like, if you ever want to know, like when I was a kid, people would be like, oh, you want to know Jack Kirby? They'd say check out the first issues of the stuff, and that never popped as much as like this. Like, you really can't deny some of the crowd shots, and some of the like the other designs of this. And like, it doesn't, I understand they are not Jack Kirby and they couldn't do that, but I really wish, like, cutting the Johnny thing and then having the eviction thing is a major downgrade. And this show was a little more goofy. I think, like, you know, I was like, you know, 11, 12, and this like met me at my expectations. I did like watching it at the time. My memories of the show overall, like, I remember the song, I just accepted it. I think the meme later became a thing. I don't remember feeling that weird about it. I was just like, oh, okay. But it is different when you really think about it. But I was watching this a lot. The Marvel Action Hour, in my mind, the Fantastic Four show is way better than the Iron Man show, to a really extreme degree. They actually tried to do the comics. I think this one didn't really emphasize it as much. I think it should have been more accurate to the comics. But as a Fantastic Four media at the time, we went through the 60s show and then the one with Robbie the Robot. This was an upgrade in comic book media at the time. Overall, though, I think, like most Fantastic Four adaptations, it sort of fails to really capture what was cool about the Fantastic Four and just sort of like makes a lot of sacrifices. Is it better than, you know, I haven't seen the new MCU movie, but is it better than the previous adaptations and even the Tim Story ones and even the Roger Corman movie? Sure. Like, I think this is probably one of the better ones. I didn't watch the cartoon that happens after this, but I do think it's like an attempt at doing something. It is trying to be what the 90s X-Men show sort of was. I think they would have done a better job with it. And I think they did a cool... I think they did... Oh, did I say Robbie? Sorry. Robbie the Robot. I was thinking of that. I think they do try to match it and try to do this for a new audience. I just think they could have done more with it. It was fun looking back, and I do actually sort of have nostalgia for the show and do enjoy watching it again. But when you really compare it to its source material, it really emphasizes sort of the issues with it and how they really just want to be a silly cartoon rather than being the weird, surreal, kind of cool thing that Jack Kirby created. I wish they'd taken a historic comic story and really matched it and adapted it in the best way they could, rather than having this silly lady with her little dog or whatever. I think that they really could have done something better with that. Unfortunately, they didn't, but I think this is a decent adaptation, but it doesn't really match the amazingness that those issues have. If you ever read top lists of the best comics of all time, these issues are always pretty high on there, and there's a reason for it. I wish they had actually matched that and done something cool with it. Maybe the new movie will. But it's fun looking back on this. I think the voice cast matches it. I think this was one better designed than the Spider-Man and X-Men shows and stuff like that. And I did really like this thing when I was like, 10, 11, 12 and stuff like that. And it is fun to look back. But I don't think I think it just wanted to be a goofy, family-friendly show. And I understand they're Marvel's first family, but when you're coming to this storyline, it's not that they're a goofy family thing. It's that Jack Kirby showed us that Marvel could go to space and how cool it was. And I think this didn't really match all that. It just showed us how powerful Galactus is. I guess that's part of it, but it's not the whole of it. And I think really going into this and discovering these episodes, it was fun remembering, like at the time, I remember watching this and going to the comic book store and everyone saying that this was a great adaptation, and they were surprised someone did something cool with Fantastic Four, and maybe I should lower my expectations. But I think if you're going to watch this or read the comics, seriously, just read the comics. Jack Kirby is king for a reason. Sorry we compared it too much, but those are great comics. I'm not gonna sit here and say this is the best adaptation. Sorry.